Disturbing confessions. The kind people typed out at 2 a.m. because they could not carry them alone anymore. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Nexium and welcome back to the channel. Today we are reading some of the most disturbing confessions ever shared on Reddit. These are real people admitting real things they have never told anyone else, and some of them are going to leave you genuinely speechless. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, and if you want to listen on the go, my Spotify podcast is linked in the description. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. I had a son when I was 14, and none of my family knows besides my aunt. I was assaulted by a family member until I was 13 and moved in with my aunt. She's a good person that took me in and helped me get away from the bad people in my family. When we found out I was pregnant, she guessed how it happened. I hadn't told her about what had happened, but she said she always expected it but never had proof. She came up with a way to get me away. She pretended to get pregnant and asked my parents if she could get custody so I could move in with her, get homeschooled, and help her out. They said no at first because they knew they'd lose out on food stamps, so she offered to pay them whatever they would have gotten in food stamps in cash in exchange for me living there. They said yeah once they found out cash was involved, and my aunt gave them some extra cash every month to keep them out of our lives. My parents are your regular redneck junkies who are no good to anyone. I had the kid in 1988 and have seen my parents a handful of times since then. She went to court to get custody of me and said my parents dropped me off at her house one day and never picked me up. I went along with that story in court and it worked out. I said we went back to my house day after day, but they were never home. They were ordered to come to court but never showed up. She got full custody of me and I lived with her until I was able to get myself a good job. I don't work the best job in the world, but it's better than where I came from, and I'm proud of that. Anywho, she took me to get an abortion, but it was too late by our state's laws. She pretended to be pregnant, even tried to gain weight, and bought clothes that made her look bigger. I stayed home every day until I had the baby. Everyone thinks it's her kid. I don't feel bad about it and won't ever tell the kid unless my aunt wants to or some big emergency happens where he needs a body part. She always said it's my choice to tell, but I think it's her choice too. She raised him, he calls her mama, and I wouldn't want to take that away from them. He doesn't look like me at all. He doesn't really look like my aunt either. He thinks his daddy is some guy she met at a bar she had a one-night stand with, and she doesn't know who he was. He's an adult now and is settling down with his wife, and they're thinking about having kids. It's sometimes weird because I know if they do, they'll be my grandkids, but they'll never know. I don't feel like a parent to him at all. I know he's my biological kid, but I'm not his mama. Every now and then it makes me sad, but I know it was the right decision to make. He's had a good life. My aunt and I saved up to make sure he could get a good education, and he did that. He knows me as his older cousin, and we get along well. He's a good guy, hardworking, a good person, does what he can to help others. I'm proud of him. Here are answers to questions people have. The person that assaulted me is in jail for the rest of his life. He was arrested for something unrelated to what he did to me, but he won't be out of jail until he's in his 90s. I doubt he'll live that long. My aunt tried for years to get me to admit what was going on. She tried very hard. Anytime she saw me, she asked if I was okay. She tried to get custody of me when I was a kid, but it didn't work out. My parents acted like decent people, and I denied anything was going out because of fear. Don't assume she could have done more. She did everything she possibly could, but I was too afraid to speak up. I know DNA tests exist. I don't know if he'll get one done, but we'll talk about what to do if he ever does. It's complicated, and I don't have the answers for what to do, neither do you. Everyone has their own opinions. None are right or wrong. Good intentions aren't always good advice. My parents are both alive as far as I know. I don't speak to them at all and haven't seen them since the early 2000s. I don't care to reconnect with them. The way I look at it, my aunt is the only mama I ever had, and I don't need to worry about someone who gave me up for drug money. We went to a hospital outside of town to avoid seeing anyone we knew. Growing up, everyone thought I was a shy kid. I was a big reader and spent most of my time inside anyway. No one thought it was weird that I was inside a lot. My aunt had a good job that let her stay at home and work once she started complaining about having to come in while pregnant. That helped us out a lot. Back then, you could call a store to fill in your grocery order and the grocery boy would drop them off, similar to how stores have deliveries you can order online now. My water broke in the middle of the night. We were lucky with that as our neighbors never saw us leave. No, I never went to college. When I was a kid, I never thought I'd even graduate high school, but I did. I won't tell you what I do for a living or where I work. That's a strange thing to message someone. Regardless, I make enough to pay my bills and have a little savings. I used to work 3 jobs to make sure I could pay for his college once the time came. Now, I only work 1. I don't like what I do, but I work hard, and I'm proud of that. Yes, I know my English isn't perfect. I type like how I talk, and I don't care if you think that's bad. Calling yourself a grammar Nazi is a weird way to identify. I wouldn't want to be called a Nazi about anything, nor would I be proud of that. But I guess you can live your best life, and I pray you stop sending rude messages to people. I don't care about your opinions on abortion or if you think I'm a bad person for considering it. I was barely a teenager, and it would have been the best choice for me. No, I don't regret having the child now, but I wish I didn't destroy my body in the process. I can't have kids now because of the damage that pregnancy caused my body. A few disgusting people have messaged me that this was sensual, that I deserved it, or asked for details. I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, but from the bottom of my heart, I hope you unalive. The world doesn't need more sick people like you. Yes, I know my aunt is a great person. She's the best person I have ever known. Not just because she helped me. I think she would have done the same thing for anyone. She's an angel. I'm responsible for the loss of several people. Around 4 years ago, I was a vendor on the darknet. It was a relatively short-lived thing. I was just doing it because I was too lazy to get a job and at the time didn't want to settle for the 9-to-5 thing. I wanted to start my own business and use the illegal earnings as a startup. I had been using myself for years. Along with that, I met lots of people into the dealing scene and eventually started dealing myself. I have a lot of anxiety though, so I hated meeting up with people in parking lots and I definitely didn't want anyone to know where I lived. That's when I read about the Silk Road and Ross Ulbricht being caught. Got obsessed with the idea of it, got obsessed with learning OPSEC, all with the goal of eventually using my connections to start up my store. Well, after a couple of months, I did. I started my store with 3 drugs: ketamine, meth, and some outdoor weed my buddy was getting for super cheap. All was going good for a few months. Had a couple thousand get stolen in an exit scam, but I had about $25,000 saved at that point, so it didn't ruin my life like a few vendors I knew of. Eventually, I met a local connect that came into town only once a week but had absolutely anything I wanted. Mescaline, LSD, mushrooms, PCP even, and fentanyl. At the time, people weren't really cutting heroin with fentanyl. I mean, I'm sure people did plenty, but it was not nearly as commonplace now. People just did fentanyl, and still do. I put all my addresses into an Excel spreadsheet along with their name, zip code, order, along with the amount. At the time, I was selling some super white powdered mescaline. The fentanyl was also a white powder, very similar consistency. Long story short, my Excel effed up, or I effed up, and about 7 people's mescaline orders were filled in as fentanyl orders. They all went out. I didn't notice and kept doing my thing for a few days. After about 5 days, someone contacted me and told me their friend passed away from my mescaline. I immediately called nonsense and went to check my order log and scale up how much I had of my mescaline left. Well, I had about 11 grams more than I should have. I still don't know how the hell it could have happened. I wasn't a user, but I was definitely under the influence of cannabis. I went to check my order log on the market to see if anyone had finalized on their purchase, and a couple of them were, but none from a specific day, including the person that messaged me. No one that had purchased mescaline that day had finalized their orders. The market I was on also had a feature to see the user's last activity, and none of them had logged in at least 3 days. Most 2 days. I immediately deactivated my vendor account. I didn't even need confirmation. I knew what happened. I knew I just unalived several people. I sold the rest of my drugs, converted my Bitcoin to cash, and moved the hell away. Didn't speak to anyone for weeks. Found a job in a restaurant, living in a city I always wanted to. I haven't touched drugs since that day. I haven't had anything to do with that life since then. I still think about them every night. I saved their names and Googled them a few days later. I was able to find info on 4 customers that definitely passed away. One customer shared it with a friend. They both passed away. I don't know why I'm even posting this, mainly because I have no one to tell. And even if I did, I don't think I could. I spend my day sober, clocking into work, clocking out of work, coming home, playing video games. I'm a complete recluse. People I used to know have distanced themselves immensely, and I know it's because I'm a shell of my former self. I can't help it. Could I even tell a therapist about this? I don't feel like I deserve to be alive. Am I really living anyway? I don't even know anymore. Maybe this will help me feel better. I accidentally unalived a child at my work. Context. I work at a children's rehabilitation center for at-risk youth with behavioral problems. I work as a supervisor for the children. I have worked in this field for 5 years. I had just started a new job at a different program with all new kids and guidelines. One of the major changes was that the kids I was working with were significantly younger, specifically in the 7 to 11-year age range. Well, I was on my way to work during my second week and was extremely hungry and extremely late. I stopped at a local gas station and picked up a small bag of peanuts and a drink so I could snack at the start of my shift. I walked into the program house, clocked in, and sat down to eat. Right as I sat down, I realized I forgot one of the new rules: no peanuts or tree nuts on campus. I quickly went back to the staff office and put the bag away in a locked storage locker. Fast forward 6 hours into my shift, and a staff member is running towards me, calling my name. A child had gone into anaphylaxis shock. I followed the staff member to the child, who was in the staff office, which another staff member had left unlocked. Also unlocked was the staff storage locker. And what was in the child's hand? My bag of peanuts. The child was rushed to the hospital. I have lack of knowledge about what happened on the ambulance trip, but the child passed away. An investigation was filed. However, the video camera feed couldn't pinpoint who put what into the locker, as everyone used it. So they gathered the shift staff and asked whoever had information to step up and help pinpoint who did it. Everyone, including myself, stayed quiet. It's been almost a year, and I still see his face as I drink myself to sleep every night. I was falsely accused of assault, and it ruined my life. Hello all, thanks in advance for reading. I'll try to keep it not too long. When I was 15, I started dating this girl. Let's call her Worm. I had just gotten out of a relationship and it was sort of a rebound. Things were going great at first. Then, over time, I began to grow apart from her. We didn't share many interests and just were not right for each other in my eyes. She, on the other hand, was obsessed with me, saw me as the love of her life and her future husband, etc., etc. By the time I got enough balls to fully end it, about 8 months had passed. Within those 8 months, I treated her with nothing but love and respect. After I broke up with her, she began to go insane, telling all her friends/my friends that I was abusive, beat her, etc., which never happened. This went on for a month or two with me having to deal with these false accusations every day. I, at this time, had gotten back together with my ex from before I had dated Worm. At some point, it somehow got to a parent, who of course contacted the school/cops. And that's when Worm gave her fake story saying I full force assaulted her on the couch after everyone fell asleep at a party that I left at 8 p.m. She got her friends who were there to make corroborating stories saying that I was there, being weird with her, etc., which I was there with my girlfriend at the time who didn't let me out of her sight. I won't get into the other holes in the story because the whole thing is nonsense, so it would take forever. But this was enough for the police to decide they had probable cause to charge me with assault at the age of 16, without hearing any other side of the story. My parents already knew about the rumors, but they then saw how serious this was, and that my life was at stake for something I didn't even do. We were not rich, but my parents paid thousands on thousands of dollars for a very good lawyer to help me win the case. I was made fun of and bullied by everyone except my close friends at this point, as everyone blindly believed the accuser because why would you make that up? Then even my close friends distanced themselves, as they were starting to catch heat for even still being friends with me. We had all the evidence it didn't happen. Where I was that day, her saying she misses me on text after the date I supposedly assaulted her, and she had nothing except her and her friend's stories. I clearly would have won the case, and after it had been stalled for over 8 months, she dropped the case, not forcing her to admit that she lied, and not facing any penalty. I also had very harsh rules for that whole time, or else they could take me into custody. Couldn't talk to girls under 18, even though I was 16, 9 p.m. curfew, couldn't be in public without an adult who knew the accusation, etc. I am now 19 with severe social anxiety from the years of bullying and torment I received. I cannot make new friends because everyone that doesn't know me knows about me because of this. I hate that my parents had to spend $15,000 to defend from something that didn't even happen. Why the hell does a 16-year-old girl have the power to ruin my life? I am a shell of my former self, physically and personality-wise. I constantly smoke weed to forget about my problems and finally relax. She faced no punishment, and it frickin' eats at me. Thanks so much for listening. Maybe this is the first step of moving forward. These confessions are a reminder that people are carrying around some truly heavy things, and Reddit is sometimes the only place they feel safe enough to let it out. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below which confession shocked you the most, because I always read the comments. And if you have a confession of your own, just send it to my email in the bio. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one.